Stick. Okay, so we're live. All right, what's up, guys? It's Kyle with another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength with my good friend Steve Parente, and this is number 3 with Steve here. So by far the most I've had somebody on the show. So thanks for being with me again, buddy.
Thanks, Kyle.
So we were just talking, guys. We didn't even know what we were going to talk about coming on, so we'll just kind of jump into it. We're talking about business, branding, all that type of stuff. So Steve has succeeded at a very high level with brick and mortar. He's now opened 15 places.
Yeah.
15 places.
Soon to be 16.
Soon to be 16. And if you guys are if you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, or maybe you're thinking about opening a place, opening one is hard. Very hard, right? So talk about scaling. You got to 15 now. Like, was it harder opening the first one or now when the way you're able to replicate it?
Yeah. It's physical therapy, so it's a service business. You know, the first one's always the hardest. The biggest step is making the first move. And, you know, when you're younger, you don't know what you're doing. But then once you get going, then you got to build that one business and that one store. You have to build that one. And then you got to figure out, you make all your mistakes and you figure out how to perfect it. And, but it's not just the operations, it's the people. So you got to figure it all out. You know, we always say people, product, process, right? I always say that.
Yeah.
So that takes years. And once you figure it out, some people move quicker than others, you know, but you take your lumps, your wins and your losses, and you figure it out. And then you start to, you know, you build those relationships with the right people. And then with the right people, then we found we could open up other locations pretty easily, pretty successfully.
Sure.
So for us, the key to spreading out is the people.
The people.
Yeah.
It's always going to be the bottleneck, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
We could, you know, because you all those years you sort out the process, and like I said, you take your lumps. Oh, we did this the wrong way. Now we're doing it this way. So the process, you perfect it, and then, you know, your product, that goes without saying. That has to be good, or you're not going to make it. And then once you start building your network of good relationships with people, then you say, and then you buy into your product and process and how you're doing it. Like, hey man, let's go do one, and let's set you up in one, and you know, that sort of thing. It's kind of like franchising a little bit.
Sure. Now at the stage coming on to number 16, in the state of the physical therapy and the medical field, I'm sure that you could easily, you know, and I think we were talking about this the other morning, you could easily sell at this point, I would imagine. Because the smaller places, right, are kind of becoming a thing of the past.
Absolutely.
And do you have in your, like, have you thought that far ahead? Is that something you would do? Is it something you want to get to 50 and then look at that? Or like, what's your thought process around that?
That's a good question, because I've been dealing with this now for a few years. You know, it's a funny thing. Everyone has their own take on selling a business. Some people say you build a business to sell it. That's one way to think. Other people say, you know, this is my baby. I've built it and I love it. And it's all about the people and the relationships within. And I love going to work every day, and I wouldn't give this up for any number in the world. So there's two extremes there, but I think I'm more I'm not selling this thing. I started when I was 25 and now I'm 50. And so I couldn't imagine not having it. Now, some people would laugh at me and say, you're ridiculous, that's silly. But that's where I'm at right now. I'm enjoying it. So why, you know, you get to that point in your life where you just do it because you love it, you enjoy it, and you just enjoy the people, and get you out of bed every day. So that's where I'm at.
Would you ever pass it off to one of the kids?
You know, I mean, it's hard to say no to that, but that would certainly complicate life a little bit, you know? I'm all for them finding their own passion and figuring their world out. And if that ends up intertwining in my world, so be it. So we'll see. You know, people would always say, any of your kids going to be physical therapists? And I have 4 kids. The first 3 weren't. And they're like, no. And I'm like, at this point, we don't even need physical therapists. We need business guys. We need accountants, lawyers, marketing guys. We need business development guys. Like, so to your point, they can get involved, but we'll see. I'm certainly not pushing it. Let nature run its course and see where it goes.
Yeah. Now, when you started here in 2000, was it 19 or 20? think it was it the year of the pandemic when you officially started here?
I actually started here pre-pandemic.
It was pre-pandemic.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. I started the year of the pandemic.
It was,
yeah.
right
I started in the
then,
fall of 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then I remember the first time I actually met you. So when you came in, you were, do you remember what your weight was at that point?
Probably like 240-ish, somewhere in that range.
240.
Then I started working out here. I'm going to jump in. But I started working out here, started lifting. I got so damn hungry. I started gaining more weight when I was here, but it wasn't your fault. It was my fault. I was just lifting and working out, and I found myself getting hungry. And I hadn't gone through all the mindset stuff yet either. So I gained. I got as high as like almost 252 at my worst.
252.
But that's where, God, you were going to.
So with that, the shape that you were in at that point, and how many locations did you have at that point?
That's a good point. Since 2020, we probably opened a handful of places. Let's see. Probably opened 3 or 4 since then.
Since then.
Yeah.
Now, if you, at that point, kind of gathering what you're saying, your health wasn't the best. So I'm guessing your energy wasn't as good as it is now, right?
Yeah. I'm definitely moving and grooving more now.
So how, at that point, you still had multiple places managing your mindset in your state without being in the best physical shape.
Yeah.
Like, how were you doing that in, day out?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's like a psychotherapy session here. You know, I've done a lot. Yeah, over the years, in my 30s, I did triathlons. In my 40s, I actually did CrossFit. And not CrossFit because it was good for me, but it was violent. And it's like for 20-year-olds more than it is for 40-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then as I got into my late 40s, my late 20s was triathlons. My late 30s was CrossFit. My late 40s, I started doing this stuff here. So I've always maintained I've always exercised and I've always maintained a level of fitness. But I would joke and say, I'm like the fittest fat guy around because I could work out and I could run, I could lift weights and get my heart rate up, but I was overweight. And so it was really the diet. And we know this. It's not like I'm telling anyone I don't know, but like you can work out till the cows come home, but you got to figure out the diet piece. And that's where I just didn't have the discipline there. Why I didn't have it, I have no idea. I just didn't have it. And so that was always my weakness. So I had a tremendous amount of discipline in business.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah,
in my family and my business and all that stuff. But maybe that's where, some of my weakness slid into my diet, whatever. But I think I got it now.
Oh, yeah.
Got it worked out.
Yeah, you got it dialed in now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you're feeling good. Your weight's down. Body fat's down.
Yeah, the fasting thing. I remember when I sat down with you, I was happy to join a gym. I wanted to do something. I like weights. I like these kind of garage type atmospheres, group classes. And then you sat there and you were pretty nonchalant about it. You weren't pushing it. You were like, hey, man, here's my book. I'm a big faster. Panda Black. It might be too aggressive. And I was like, what? 1 meal a day? Skip a day? I'm like, this guy's out of his mind, And I didn't do it. And that's when I was gaining. Like, like I knew better. Like, so it's like, it's like the old, you are what your record says you are. Like, who the hell am I? Like, who am I to sit here and tell you don't know what you're talking about, or that's ridiculous, or I'm a disaster. My record was, I was like 0 for 20, So finally I just woke up one day. I said, I'm doing this. I think I did like a ripped ads.
Yeah.
But I didn't even have to do the ripped ads. I just decided in my head that I was doing the fast
decision.
Yeah, I just made the decision. And that was it.
And that's it. Yeah, and it's funny with the fasting. I used to be more, I still don't push it, but if people want to know, like, hey, I actually want to change, I'm pretty adamant these days, like, compared to when I met with you, that if you want to change, you have to do that. This is what works.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can work out and all that, but just know that not much is going to change. You're going to feel better, but you ain't going to get the weight off. You ain't going to change dramatically.
Yeah, I got stronger.
Yeah.
But I was fat.
Yeah.
So that was it. In order to get that down, I had to control what I was eating or how much I was eating or when I was eating in the case of the fasting.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fasting was good because when you do it for a long time, because I'm like 1.5 years into this thing now. So when you the thing that I started with, and I've probably have more than a half a dozen friends doing this. You know, I just got another 3 guys doing it. We got a text group going.
I get you some books for them, man. Yeah, nice.
If you don't mind, like, you know, I'm always working on the join here too. So, but because I do believe combining the exercise with it, it's like you really optimize all the hormonal benefits.
Huge.
Huge. You were right on, by the way. I mean, you're spot on. And when you do this and you see it happen, you're like, damn, Kyle knows what he's talking about. Like, you were right on. But anyway, so when you do this stuff, the thing that I got all my buddies going with this the first month, and it got me going. And I asked you this question during Ripped Ads on the in the group, what was it, the Zoom call. I was like, so Kyle, can I eat whatever the hell I want? Just give me 1 meal a day, 1 hour, just whatever. And you were like, you can, yeah. You know, you were like, listen, you know, there's different degrees of how intense you want to get, but yeah, to answer your question, is more important the time spent not eating than than what you are eating in the early stages of this thing. And I was like, okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I took that 1 hour a day, and I was like, I'm going to enjoy it. And I've told you this all the time. You said something to me, and I've told you this 1,000 times. You're probably tired of me saying it. You can't form a habit with pain. It has to be with pleasure. And I swear to God, like, I've been saying this to you now for a year and a half. Yeah. Like, that is like the single greatest thing anyone's ever told me.
So
when it comes to diet, you know, I was like, he's so right. I would have these, if I'm eating grilled chicken salads every day, I would get out of bed and be miserable from the minute my foot hit the ground. I would be thinking, oh,
when is this over?
God, I got to eat grilled chicken today. And so when you said that and I started doing it, I was like, I could do this, you know? And so that's what started me. And then you do it for a year and a half, you lose a shit ton of weight. And then all of a sudden you start to say, you know what, maybe I'll tighten that up a little bit. Let me, you know, and you see how, you know, then you'd make your decisions on how healthy you want to go.
It is. I tell on yesterday's Zoom call, I was telling the groups the same question they had. You know, I said, it evolves. I said, just get your fasting time down, and then then you're going to want to, like I do a cheat night now, where back with traditional dieting, I would do these days because I would look forward to it so much because I felt deprived, right, and all this stuff. But it evolves to the point where, you know, it's even with like myself with like having beers and whatnot. Like, I just feel so good when I'm doing my system that I'm like, do I want to have a beer tonight? Where, you know, I went through that phase where it's like, okay, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's time for to have a couple beers, you know, and it's kind of mindless. But then you start, like we were talking before we got on about, you know, I'm big now. And Devin, I think she's getting used to it. But it's throughout the day, I'm snacking on fitness. Like, I'll have my formal workout, and then I'm banging out my push-ups. You know, I hit a certain number each day, 150 each day. Do my jump rope each day. You know, now we just set up a home gym, so I'm out there banging curls. You know, and you just, like you said, you could bang out, like Wes said, 20 burpees and you feel better. I'm like, it's the greatest drug in the world, the exercise.
Yeah.
And food's a drug, right? So now if we limit food, you cannot solve, like any drug, right? You can't solve a food / drug, if that's the drug, related issue with frequent doses of it. It doesn't work. You got to break from it.
Yeah.
You know, and then everything just starts changing, you know, and it's, even the Panda keeps evolving for me, and then, you know, then I teach it and see what other, like we talked about dry fasting last week. So now what I'm doing, which was pretty crazy, but now what I'm doing, like today is just a 24 dry because I'm doing a liver cleanse. So I'll break it tonight just because I have to get the nutrients, things that I need in. But I'm thinking of, okay, maybe it's going to be a 36 or 48. So either the first good portion of that 48-hour fast or the whole 48 will be a dry now. You know, and it'll evolve because there's much deeper benefits. It makes you all of a sudden water, because like you don't take it for granted. You know, like when I get to have water tonight, I'm looking forward to that. Just like I would look forward to a meal.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden it's like you're creating excitement around restriction.
Restriction.
Yeah.
You know, and then
that's interesting.
Yeah. But
you're right, because that was it. I used to make a joke. I'd say when I'd sit down and have dinner with my one meal, I would get so excited. What are we having tonight? You know,
it's the best.
Oh, we're having this. I would. My joke was, I was like a sailor coming home to his girlfriend after being deployed for a year. Like I was like, what are we having? Let's go. You know.
Great analogy.
So it's a funny thing. It's all mindset. It's all how you think.
All mindset.
The grilled chicken was a painful process that I just didn't want to do, and it hurt, and it literally would get out of bed. My foot would hit the ground. I'd be thinking how miserable I was.
Yeah.
You can't win like that.
You'll never win. And
I'm not kidding either.
no, I know, dude. I did it for years, and that's what I taught people. In the mindset with that, right? Like with the mind map stuff, and going back to the pleasure principle. If you were thinking, I can't wait for this to be over, you already know you can't form a habit around it. So why are we doing it?
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
Yeah.
unless it's like
Like it's going to eventually blow up.
Yeah.
You just know.
And it's like, what are you getting in shape for? Just a vacation, and then you're going to go back to what? Your normal?
Yeah, no, it's so true.
And with fall and all this stuff, you probably feel the same way. I literally feel younger than I did 10 years ago. And I'm stronger, and I'm in better shape. I got the gray beard and all that, but no hair. But besides that stuff, dude, Devin will tell you, man. She's like, you're in way better shape than when we got married. And I was a fitness guy. I was training all the time. I was eating 4 or 5 meals a day.
100%. I mean, I look back at pictures when I got married, and I look at my weight back then, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm lighter then, but I look worse, and I wasn't as strong. Like, so it's a whole different body composition is a big one.
It's huge.
That's the thing I think when I look at pictures, even from my youth to now, my body composition is so much different. You add muscle and lose fat. They say forget the scale. You're never going to forget the scale. Everyone gets on a scale. Everyone needs that quick, easy number. But body composition is a big one. And when it's changing.
Yeah.
And this fasting changed it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the fast that changed it.
Will.
And the lifting. But the fast sets you up to change it.
It does.
That's why I said to those guys, you guys got to start lifting. Because now you really want to get
gains. Now you're optimizing the hormones, right? Like and you have all these different studies with fasting, and I have, it's funny, I think I surprised this guy. So the Facebook following has been growing too, because that's linked with Instagram, and you get a lot of haters, for lack of a better word, that disagree with my methods. And the one guy said something like, fasting is just control. What he's going on and on about the insulin. I said, okay, buddy, whatever you think. I commented, whatever, it's no big deal. I think I surprised him that I actually commented, and then he kind of backtracked and all that. But my point, you have a lot of people, it's just the same. I'm like, first of all, unless you've done it and you've done it for an extended period of time, I don't care what you say. It's completely invalid to me. I could care because I'm living proof, right?
Yeah.
Then you can see it's just a compounding effect. My weight doesn't necessarily continue to change anymore, right? You get to that set point, but then the skin starts getting thinner. You have no pain in your muscles. You have, there's all this cool stuff, man. It just continues to roll.
What's that all about? Skin gets thinner. Tell me about that.
So you have the autophagy effect with the fasting, where your body will go through and eat up the damaged parts of cells. But a lot of people will say, like, even with, do you get into ketosis? I'm like, very rarely. You don't need to be in ketosis to lose fat. That's more of a myth than anything. So where does the energy come from? Well, you have gluconeogenesis, basically when your body converts protein into glucose. So most people think you just have protein in your muscle. Your skin is pretty much protein, all this stuff. So even with loose skin and stuff like that, right? Your body can really tighten that up with fasting. Dry fasting is even more effective at eating up skin and damaged skin and all this type of stuff. But that's what I've noted. Like, the skin is thin, man. And that's something I learned, not fasting-wise, but when Poliquin was alive and I was learning from him, like the 12 sites, each site corresponds. I got to do that on anyone. It's a 12-site measurement system I have software for. Each site, besides the first two, the chin and the cheek, correspond to different hormones. And he tested this for.
So you did the calipers on me.
I did do the calipers.
You did, but you didn't run into any software. But as you were doing it, you were talking about the different hormones.
Yeah.
And I found that really interesting.
Yeah, we got to do it again then.
And I got to tell you, my weakest things were hormonally, I think, like cortisol and insulin, were the things that you were telling me were my worst calipers.
Yeah.
It resonated with me.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, wow. That makes sense.
It is, man. And he would always teach, like, for anybody really, but not just, but the guys, right? Your pec, right, and your tricep. I can tell it's testosterone. If you grab it and it's like a thick slab in it, you can't pull the skin off like paper. We got an issue there. Like, you want to be able to it should be like almost not paper thin where you're just like an anatomy chart, but you should be able to pull it right off.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a good, healthy.
Yeah, so it's funny, like because I did my blood work. I never really thought about testosterone and all that stuff. I was worried about insulin. I've always been, because That was the thing that got me going also in my mind. I was getting so tired after I eat, that insulin resistance.
Yeah.
And if you look at all these diets, it's all about controlling insulin.
Yeah.
Every one of them. They just do it a different way.
Yeah.
And so fasting, it's just, I always say, it's like, it just shuts it off.
Shuts it off.
It shuts it off. So it's like, it's the same deal. It's insulin. But that was always my biggest problem. And that was my weakness in the calipers. Then the testosterone thing was interesting because, you know, you put your body in like I hate to say it, but a form of stress, right? You're not eating, so your body's
it's hormesis.
It's stress.
Yeah.
And so your HGH, they say, goes up. I've never tested that, but I've certainly gotten a hell of a lot stronger here. I put on like 8 or 9 pounds of muscle, and then testosterone goes up. And that I did test. I tested it probably too late. I was here for a while doing it, tested it. Then I tested it again a few months later. It went up even more.
Went up, yeah.
And then we had a guy at work. He was like 500. It wasn't bad, but I was like, let's try it. You're 500. Let's do this. Let's go 1 meal a day. And he tested it again like 90 days later, and it went up 200 points.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We were like, holy crap, this works. And he's a vegan.
There you go.
So something about this fasting, man.
It's the hormones. You
The
know.
world's leading expert in intermittent fasting, right?
That's
here.
it, man.
I'm with him right now.
So we were actually, I'll tell you something too. Me and Devin just did. I didn't get the test back yet, but it's real. Do you hear the 10X Gary Brecka? Have you followed him?
No.
So he's kind of like, so Charles Pollock, when the biosignature was talking about, Brecka's kind of like him in that Brecka's background was like life insurance. You know, he's got a photographic memory, so really good with data and just knowing health trends. And then he got linked up with Grant Cardone, right? So that's where the 10X health.
Yeah.
And they send you, I'll send you an interview with them. Listen to a couple interviews, and it's a methylated gene, which Poliquin was talking about back in the day. So, for example, Poliquin would say, okay, when you eat asparagus, if you can smell it when you pee, the asparagine, you lack this methylated gene, meaning your body can't convert certain nutrients to certain chemicals in your body. You're going to be deficient. So I generally feel great all the time. Devin will have a problem with her nails, be tired a lot. She does the fasting and all that. So I said, maybe this test will be good. So they sent you the test to the house. We each got one. It's like $500-600, but it's a one-time thing. It doesn't change. Mm-hmm. Do a couple swabs, you put it back in the case, mail it back in. So I'm waiting to get those results back. And if you're deficient, it's a simple, okay, take B12. It's not a hard fix.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's cool stuff too, man.
Yeah, it's not blood though. It's just a swab.
Swab because it's genetic. Just genetic. So, and you'll get to see based on it. There's 5 things they test for. If you're yellow, that means you got one of the genes from your parents. Like one of your parents had it, one didn't. Red, you don't have it. Your parents didn't have it. Green, they both had it. You're good. You know, so it's a cool thing.
Genetic testing. I mean, that's definitely where we're going in medicine now.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Getting more data with that.
Yeah. Now, does it talk about that, like gluten and all that stuff?
Not really that. Like a lot of that stuff, I think is overblown. I think people's guts are just really unhealthy for the most part.
Yep.
Again, the fasting is going to reduce the inflammation. One of my best friends, when he came to me the year that I really created the Panda, and it wasn't, I had at that point, there was no book yet. I was writing the book, and because he's in the book, Jabba. And he came to me, he's like 5'4", one of my best friends, but he's like 260 pounds. But he was a great athlete, but he's just like a bowling ball. And he was nervous because he was getting fatty livers, getting all this stuff. So if he comes to me for help, I know that he's worried because that's not his nature. And he came to me and said, hey, what can I, and I said, all right, let's get you doing what I'm doing, to fast 48, 72s, that first summer. He had all this inflammation, endoscopies, all these ulcers. He's on proton pump and Nexium. So he starts doing it. He drops like 30, 35 pounds before his next checkup. Doc goes in and he said, basically, he goes, your inflammation's gone. No more ulcers. He goes, let's cut you back on the Nexium. He goes, actually, I stopped taking that like a month ago. And the doc couldn't believe it, but it was drinking the baking soda, the juice, all the stuff it's just simple, right? And it healed all the inflammation in the gut. There you go. It's so powerful, dude. Yeah. You know, it's funny. Yesterday, I went on, Mike Becker came with me. I went on a run. We did 8 miles yesterday. So I'm training for the marathon I'm going to do in November. And I was getting, towards the end, third lap, I'm getting hamstring cramp. I'm like, why the hell am I cramping up? And I realized because I didn't, and it was back in the cabinet yesterday, I hadn't been doing the potassium because we ran out of it. Dude, I guess Devin got some or pulled it out of the pantry.
Yeah, that's
and
the
I was
hardest
getting
one to
cramping.
get.
Yeah,
That's the potassium.
cramp, man.
Yeah.
That's happened to me a few times when I've run short on the potassium. I'll start getting cramp. I used to get terrible cramps.
Yeah.
Put it back in, nothing.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna fast, the one thing about fasting is you do pee a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you want right. You say drink a lot of water, so you stay hydrated in a regular fast, not a wet fast, dry fasting. So then you're drinking a lot, so you're peeing out your minerals. So you got to put those minerals back in. So that's the juice, right?
The juice,
potassium and the salt.
Yeah. And the baking soda for the kidneys.
It's funny. I looked up the recommended amount of potassium, and it was a lot. I forget how much it was, but it was like, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000. It was a lot. Then I went to Costco and I was looking at the potassium pills and like 50 milligrams. I'm like, 50?
Not going to get
I'd
it.
have to take this whole bottle.
Yeah.
You know? So that's why when you say take that no salt, and I look on the back of that, I'm like, freaking Kyle. This has a ton of freaking potassium in it.
Yeah.
And one little teaspoon of no salt. So I'm in on the juice, especially if I go 48, you know. I mean, I'll do it. I do it every day anyway, but after I work out, I fill up with 32 ounces, drop a teaspoon in there. I have it all mixed up in a Tupperware.
Yeah.
And I've come to love it.
Yeah. No, that's what most people, once they get through that first couple of weeks, you know, they start liking the taste of it.
It's a funny thing too. Like your body, I've heard this before, but I feel like I've experienced it. If I'm dehydrated, I actually like the salt water.
Oh, you will, yeah.
Like I drink it. I'm like, give me more of that. Where if I'm well hydrated, it's like, oh, this is salty.
Your body knows how much it needs. Yeah.
Your taste buds know.
It does, yeah.
If I work out here, get in a hot tub, get out after a half an hour, and I'm dehydrated, right? I worked out, morning, you're dehydrated. Worked out, get in a hot tub, and I'm dehydrated. I could drink down a gallon of this salt water.
Yeah.
And it feels great.
And that's what I tell people. You can't overdo it with the juice because you're going to become averse to it because your body's going to say, wait a minute, I got enough.
Yeah.
You know, because people have all these concerns with it. And that's just, it's more, there's different types of sodium too. We're not talking about regular table salt, you know, that's basically just has iodine in it. You know, it doesn't have any of the nutrients.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The pink sea salt.
pink sea salt.
The no salt. And then the bacon soda.
Bacon soda, yeah. And I started using Celtic salt too. I'm playing around with that. It's a little different than the sea salt. Different color, different nutrients slightly. But yeah, it's simple, man.
The other thing you got me on, which when I had my blood tested, was the D3.
Yeah.
It was deficient. And I started taking the pills, and I take a decent amount of it. And it's up now. Maybe you said you might want to tie it to something else to get it in, but I didn't do that, and it went up. So I am getting it in.
Yeah, D3 is basically a hormone, you know, and if the medical community referred to it as that, I think people would take it more seriously. But it's such a simple thing, especially if you live where we live. You're not going to get it through the sunlight.
It was down.
Yeah.
I mean, the blood labs came back, and it was down. And I know you're into the TRT, but you know, I felt like I wasn't there, and you know, so I tested the TRT. And the only thing that I do take is zinc and magnesium.
That's great. Yeah.
Zinc, magnesium, D3, and drink my juice, the salt water.
Simple.
That's it. That's my life.
Yeah.
Come to Newell every morning, 5 days a week, and eat my one meal a day.
Keep it simple.
I was joking with my buddy. I was like, with my brother and another guy. I was like, I work out an hour, I eat an hour, I sleep 8 hours, and I live for 14 hours. My son looks at me, he's like, who are you, Goggins now? And I'm like, no, not really, but that seems to be what I've been doing the last year. But
it's working.
It's pretty simple. I mean, yeah,
it is.
I'm enjoying it. So
it's that old saying where success is boring. You just got to keep showing up, just like business, do the thing that works.
Stop drinking for I'm doing like a 90-day.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So last year, because of the fasting, you really can't drink. Like, you know, it makes drinking a little tricky, right?
Yeah.
You know, so, and, you know, during COVID, I got fat partly because we were home and it was stressful, you know, running the business and just, you know, at night you sit down, pour yourself a drink, you watch TV and you're just sitting there and I'm like, what am I doing? So when I started doing the fasting, I was like, I have to shut my window. So I'm eliminating the drink. So that was the thing. I didn't drink in my house for a year, and it was great. It was only if I went out. So I'd have maybe a cocktail and have dinner and be done. So I would stay in my window because I felt like if I went out to eat, there's your window. But if I'm home, now all of a sudden it's, you know, windows all blown open. So I did that for a year, and it felt great to do it. And so then just recently I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go 90 days, no drinking. And I got to tell you, man, it's interesting. First of all, it's the only drug that you're like an outcast if you don't do it. You know, like I'm at a soccer tournament and it was cool. You know, we went to Outback to watch the NCAA tournament with some of the dads. They were all getting these big, tall, ice cold beers at the bar. And I'm like, nah, I'm good, guys. I'll have a club soda. It was weird. You know, you're so used to being that guy, like, give me a beer, you know, beer and wings, you know. And so it was weird, but I got through it. They were looking at me like, you got to, you know, so you're an alcoholic? I was, nah, I'm just doing this 90-day thing, you know.
Where are you at now in the 90 days?
So I'm like so Memorial Day weekend will be Memorial Day will be 90 days.
Okay.
So I'm probably like 7 weeks into it.
Good for you.
So the thing I noticed, I'm stronger.
Yeah.
I sleep better. And I would only have a drink if I went out on the weekends, right? So, but so it wasn't really that crazy, but sleeping better. I'm stronger. I mean, at my age, I've been coming here so consistently for 2 years. I actually notice I'm stronger, you know? You know, you could push that extra 5 or 10 pounds on the bench. Like that just happened. And so, so I don't know, feel better, stronger.
It is a weird thing, man.
Good. And also, you know, like the mental thing, you just kind of like, you say you're going to do something and you do it.
You do it, yeah.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, man. I did the 75 days without it, and then me and Devin did another 30 days. And you feel better without it. But it is a weird thing because it's such a social.
It is. I'm starting to wonder what I'm going to do in 90 days. I don't know. Like, I got to sort that out.
Yeah.
In my head.
I know. I had to do that too.
I'm a little freaked out right now. I'm like, I kind of like this. I could see myself never drinking again. But on the other hand, you enjoy socially. It's a social thing.
Yeah.
Such a social thing, you know? I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. You know, maybe that weekend you have. But it should, if you think about it, right, like it should mean something when you have a drink. If you're going to have a drink, you know, it should be something like a family event or something celebratory.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. You know, you drink. There's a few reasons you drink, I guess, if you really break it down into buckets. One is to just kill the pain.
Yeah.
That's a bucket.
Yeah.
One is probably just social, just as like a social norm. You know, don't let someone drink alone, have a beer. It's like a social thing. And then the third bucket is probably for like an experience.
Yeah.
So if I went to Napa Valley or I went to Tuscany, you know, I'm going to want to sip wine and, you know, experience the experience of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the experience I wouldn't pass up. The social thing's hard to pass up. And the kill the pain thing, we probably shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
You need to figure that out. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think, you know what I'm saying?
Something to think about. 1,000%. I know. I've been kind of going with that in my head too.
And the social thing might just be a bunch of people sitting around killing the pain, to be honest.
Yeah. It is, really.
You're in a group doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
And if you look at, like, did those people necessarily have anything that you want in life? Right? Maybe not. But again, it just becomes a no.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, I mean, I don't know. I like sleeping better. I like lifting
That's
more
what I
weights.
mean.
I like feeling better.
It's what's the upside of it?
No,
really?
I get it.
It's actually a toxin. Like, there's other stuff. And it's, again, why is that allowed? But you know, they look at stuff like psilocybin, which is now becoming more popular, like mushrooms and stuff. That's plant that comes from the earth that is not toxic on the body, that can enhance your brain. Like, why is that stuff? I tie all this stuff together. Even why is not fasting taught to everybody, right? I believe there's a huge conspiracy because with alcohol, all this stuff, it keeps people unhealthy, right? And most of the system is designed around people that are unhealthy. I think that even with everything, right? You look at government, you look at all, when people are not in shape and their mindset is not sharp, all this stuff, they're just going to go along with whatever they're told, right? So I do believe there's a huge control thing. When you start developing and say, wait a minute, I can get stronger. I could come into my prime when I'm in my 50s, you know, and you start questioning, because like to me, the fasting thing, like, and I'll tell people, so if this goes against everything you were ever taught about food, what else have we been taught that's complete BS? Right? Like, it just makes you question stuff.
So it's interesting. Like, I'm with you. I think I don't know if I'm so much into although I could probably buy it. I mean, I could be convinced that, people, you're trying to be held down, controlled, all that stuff. I could. I think a lot of it just comes back to money.
Could be that
I
too.
always feel like it's money, right?
Yeah.
Why are we smoking cigarettes? Like, there's a lot of money getting thrown around in the tobacco world, right? Why are we drinking? There's an awful lot of money getting thrown
A lot of
around
money.
in liquor stores and restaurants, and it's just money. Why are we legalizing marijuana? Money.
Money.
I just think money drives everything
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And so maybe there's, to your point, I get it. You can put those pieces together as well, but
Yeah.
money's the easy one to me. Like,
Yeah.
that's just obvious,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's man. So let's talk about Wes. You got to watch. So Wes is coaching me, guys. If you've been following along, you know that Wes Watson. I'm actually going out there this week. Gonna go to the mastermind. So what'd you think of listening to his podcast?
Yeah, so you sent me that one video. It was a couple hours. I think it was long.
Probably like 2 hours.
Yeah, it
or
was like
something.
2 hours long. I was in the car. I probably listened to a little over an hour of it, and it was cool, man. I mean, the guy's he's a maniac. I liked it. I liked him, but he's right. I mean, he's got like a crazy amount of positive energy, and he has a way of putting it out there that you can't argue. He's right. Just do the right thing.
Yeah.
It's just like it's positive mindset discipline. That's how I saw him. He was just, you need to have a positive mindset. We all know that. I mean, I don't think anyone could ever tell you we shouldn't have a positive mindset. Even people with a negative mindset must understand that it's better to have a positive mindset. But he's all about disciplining yourself to be in a positive mindset as long as possible, as often as possible. I mean, it was good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it was good. I thought you would like him.
Yeah. He's like, if your energy's down, your vibration's low, and you're feeling down, and you're sinking out of that mindset, I jump down and do 50 burpees. And I'm like, I get that, I kind of get it a little bit.
Change your state.
Change your state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Physical activity helps that.
It's the main thing. I tell people with exercise, I've told them for a long time now, because a lot of people come in, I want to work out and lose weight, right? Like, I'm like, it doesn't work like that. I said, this is more exercise and more for your brain, right? You're going to get certain growth factors to your brain just through physical movement that you can't get there any other way. So it's a great state changer, and if you start feeling better, now you start better mindset, you start making better choices, you start focusing on stuff, right? Because the brain is hardwired for the negative. Why not snack on fitness throughout the day?
Yeah.
If it's such a powerful drug, like when we're talking about drinking and all that, like this, do a set of curls, do a set of push-ups, see how you feel. Do you want to have the beer after you do that? Probably not, usually.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the brain's like, I feel like, I don't know, I've been on the planet for 50 years, and the one thing I could tell you is, and I've seen this happen, it's a lever. Like, you pull levers. It's like, when I pulled that lever that I was doing this, I was doing it. I've pushed the lever back up and stopped doing it. But it's amazing. It's what you call mindset.
Yeah.
It's mind mapping, whatever it is. To me, it's very much a lever. Like, you choose your state of mind. You pull the lever or you don't pull the lever. And that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's saying, like, pull the lever, keep the lever down. If the lever's starting to slip, pull it down. And he's not going to let you. And so I do believe that. Like, like happiness. What's happiness? You choose to be happy. You just do.
It is. It is what you focus on expands.
And I'm not I've been miserable in my I've had many days of being, I'm not sitting here preaching to anybody. I'm by no means not perfect, but I get that. I've seen it happen. I've been miserable and watched other people pull the lever and be like, damn, he pulled the lever. I wish I could pull the lever. I'm just not capable of pulling the lever.
Yeah.
And then I've pulled the lever in my day, so
yeah,
that's how I see it.
Yeah. And it's that, you relate that back to me with the Panda, it's the black or white. You make the decision. If you make the decision that no matter what you feel like, right, especially as men, I don't think we should be governed as much internally by our feelings. Like, you're not going to feel like doing stuff all the time. You're not going to, but you got to do it anyway, right? And if you do that, because you made the decision, there's no other option. That's it. You've taken that option off the table. I actually think it eases the pressure on the brain because now I can't quit. There's no going back. Instead of the brain's not in this middle. Well, I could go back and start doing this and having donuts every morning. Like to me, it's not an option. So then it's like there's only one way to go, and that's forward.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. No, I get it. We were just talking about this quote I heard the other day. It's like, don't do your best, do what's necessary. You know.
That's great.
You know what I mean? Like you just got to do it.
Yeah.
You just got to do it. You know, because it's like try. I'm gonna try, do my best. And it's like
it's Yoda. There's no try, only do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Now to your point, I got 3 boys, and I'm I subtly am preaching this stuff to them a little bit because you live and learn. Like I said, you learn the most in life from when you look back. I'm not a type to look back and have regrets. I hate that. I'm not a big fan of that. I think that's a bad thing to do. It's a bad habit. It's a negative habit. It's a negative mindset thing. But you do learn from your mistakes. And that's one thing that history teaches you, whether it's American history or your own personal history.
Yeah.
You learn from your mistakes, and you pass it on. That's called wisdom.
Yeah.
Right? So, to your point, just gotta, when my kid said, "Geez, Dad, you sound like Goggins," I'm like, Goggins is one of those type of guys.
Yeah.
He's another maniac that just like he's just mindset out the wazoo.
Unbelievable.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But it's a winner's game.
It is. It is all mindset.
It's all mindset.
That's all it is.
He pulls that lever, man, like nobody else.
No, it's crazy to see.
He
man.
pulls a lever no one pulls.
No, he's figuring out. I think it was on Rogan. I listened to some of the clips. Like I listened to his latest book. I don't know if it's good. It's good, man. Yeah, it's good.
I heard him on Rogan. Yeah.
Get the audible because in between chapters they interview him and you get more insight besides just what's in the book.
Okay.
But it was I think Rogan was kind of saying like that dude is going to a place in his mind that very few people have ever accessed just through physical pain.
Yeah.
Just willing to put himself in these crazy races or whatever it is that he's doing.
Yeah. Well, he's half dead at 100 miles. He goes another 100.
Just goes.
You know what's good Rogan had? That guy Itziger or something?
Jesse Itzler?
Itzler, that's it. That was he lived with Goggins.
Oh, yeah. Itzler's the man, dude.
Itzler, that was
doing one of his courses coming up. Yeah. Itzler's awesome. He's got a mindset too. He's riding across America. I think they're leaving today. Him and like 9 buddies on bikes.
Oh, is that right?
Taking 2 weeks. They're going all the way across the country.
Yeah, I got to follow that guy because I heard him on Rogan. I didn't realize he wrote the New York Knicks song, Go New York Go. He had a cool story. It was a really good Rogan episode. But he talked about living with the monks and living with Goggins, and it was funny, man. It was freaking, Goggins like cuts the ice in the frozen pond. He's like, jump in. And he's like, oh, you nuts, It's good stuff.
Yeah,
fun stuff.
Yeah, he's good. He's another good one to follow.
Yeah.
It's cool that you mentioned the sons. Like I came home on Friday, I had a busy day. When I get home, we've been setting family goals every week. We're teaching the kids. We do a Sunday night meeting, running it, we're going through our core values, and we're setting goals. Even Emma, just to expose them to it. Where Braxton's this week was, running at least 5 driveway hill sprints. We got a real steep driveway. But I came home and he's doing it, and Devin's timing him. But what fuels me now, your sons are different, but they're still watching you, right? I know that him and Colt are watching everything I'm doing, what type of shape I'm in, what I'm doing. If I'm outside doing jump rope, I'm like, it just drives me more. I'm like, I want to pass that on to them. They see that, and they're getting into it, right, with the pull-ups and all this type of stuff. But they're just modeling, and I tell guys, I'm like, because it's I don't know from being what it's like for a mother, but I'm like the boys are going to learn from the man. They're going to mimic. They're going to want to become dad, or they're going to kind of maybe complete that cycle where dad fell short.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, my dad was a really positive influence on my life, and I can only hope I can influence my kids the way he influenced me. Yeah. He was a shop teacher.
I remember he was a teacher.
And but he was one of these people that just helped people all the time. I mean, it's just, if you had a problem, you called my dad, whether it be the car broke down or your relationship was breaking down, and I think I've got a lot of that from him, and like you said, continue the cycle kind of thing. I help people all the time. I love that. That's what gets me going. That's why I got my fasting text with my buddies, you know, I just want to help him out, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, you got to do this, man. You know, just bring him along for the ride. It's good stuff. But yeah, I mean, to your point with the kids, I mean, you know, who knows? There's one book I've never read, and that's How to Be a Perfect Parent. You know, I don't know. I don't have answers to that. That's a tough one, man. You just live, and you just, like you said, you learn from mistakes, and you try and pass on wisdom, and you don't try, you pass on wisdom and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
Everyone lives their own life and has their own, you know, their own way of doing things. But it's definitely helpful to have a positive role model in your life, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hopeful that my kids remember me watching me grind, get back, you know, physically into good shape. They've certainly watched me grind in business. They've watched me grind, getting them to soccer games and doing all the things that good parents, you know, do, positive things for their kids. But I think now more than ever, I appreciate the physical path, you know, hoping that they, you know, lead by example. You know, my son's working in New York right now, and he's stressing out. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell him. I've never worked in a big company, you know, and they're like, business is slow. They're talking layoffs might be coming. The kid's been there 6 months, you know, it's like, he just got out of school. And I'm sitting there watching him stress about it. I'm like, thinking to myself, he's got nothing to stress about. He's got no mortgage, no kids. I mean, there's nothing, but I get it. I'm not downplaying
that age,
it, you know. And my only advice to him was, you know, just get up and get in the gym. I didn't know what else to tell him, but I thought that was good advice.
Yeah.
I was like, build your body. It helps you clear your mind and feel good about yourself and build confidence. You're only 22. So get in the gym.
Yeah.
That's all I could tell him because I couldn't tell him anything else.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He's watching me go to the gym. Maybe he'll go to the gym. I don't know. I wasn't going to push it, but
I knew since I was a teenager, the first time I went into the gym, that, you know, I just knew because became obsessed with it. And I still say, man, it's the greatest teacher, just being in the gym. You know, just learning how to push through stuff. And when you actually train, right, if you just go through the motions, still better than not doing it. But when you're actually training and you're disciplined and you're dedicated to it.
Yeah, there's so many pieces to that. Is the discipline part. And like you said, being militant for men, boys, I think is important.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not for girls, but I can only speak for me being a male.
1,000%, man.
Being militant is important. I've done it in business in my career, and it's a good thing. Doing it at the gym is a good thing. That is important. And I think there's a piece, like a self-confidence piece, that it helps you with, you know?
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know. You could be really fit and not have confidence, and you could be really fat and have a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, but I do think it probably helps to be fit to build your self-confidence.
Definitely.
Right?
1,000%. That's why I got into it back when I got into it. And I always look at like that. The confidence piece is up there. I always say energy is the number one asset, and then confidence is right behind it. Because if your energy is low, I think it's very hard to be confident.
It's another piece, yeah.
Right?
Energy.
Like that to me is the primary. The energy is life to me. You don't have energy, you're dead.
Yeah.
You know, so how do you enhance that? You know, and I think what you do, you know, with the militant piece, with being a man, and you know, that's where the fasting, like that's like the stoic principles that are within fasting, right? And just being, doesn't matter what you feel like, you're fasting.
Yeah.
You know, and just doing something tough all the time.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's simple. It's super simple.
Yeah.
But
you're 100% right. It's like, take the emotion out of it, be militant, get there, be disciplined, build confidence. Those are all positive traits that you want to have. I don't know. If you took all those traits and flipped them, you know, it's like, those are the people that we kind of look at like, oh, God, he's living in mom's basement playing video games.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
He's not disciplined. He has zero confidence. He won't come out of the basement. He doesn't talk to girls. He doesn't go, you know, reply to job interviews. Like, so it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just basics, right? It's just like what we're talking about is the most basic thing.
Yeah.
But to your point before about mindset training, it's like the difference between the guy who does it and the guy who doesn't is the guy who does it. It's like he did it. That's it. So
decided to do it. That's it.
That's it. So it's just we can talk about the most basic things, but to act and take that first step forward in whatever it is you're doing, for some reason, is always the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Something stops us from doing stuff like that. Moving in a positive direction. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mindset training.
It is mindset, man. So last road we'll go down. I have we're 2023. We talked about the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see business going? Like maybe some of the stuff we were talking about off air before we got on. Like, what do you see as the future as far as business and building wealth?
Yeah. So I live in a world of like local business, it's brick and mortar local business. It just seems now that I'm not knocking the business I have. It's there for a reason. We'll always need it. It'll never be outsourced. I really believe it's a good business. But I think obviously the future of businesses is the ability to reach so many people now. Like that's the thing. Like I could put a physical therapy store in a town, and we literally only get a 5-mile radius, maybe 8-mile radius of people. We have it plotted out. I mean, that's it. And then we open up another store, and it's like if we go every 16 miles, we're catching those 8-mile radiuses, and the radiuses keep touching each other, and that's how we're building out. But we're dealing with an 8-mile radius. So when you go to one of these online things, it's like, whether it be a product or a service, I mean, you could be selling a service to some rich dude in Dubai. It's like it's insane. Like I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated by that.
Unlimited reach, and it's hard to comprehend.
Reach. Yeah,
like we could think about how many, but you can't even comprehend. I don't think how many people, how big the world is.
So that's the thing, and so business, I don't think will ever change. I mean, the principles of business will never change. But I have a business. I still have to do marketing, but I'm reaching 8-mile radius of people. Where if you have an online business, you're reaching the whole world. And so obviously, I think you'd want that one. To me, that makes sense. I would always say I would rather be a waiter in a high-end steakhouse. I'd rather be a waiter in Ruth Chris than a waiter in Denny's.
Yeah,
because I served the same table. But you got a Grand Slam breakfast for $6.99, and I got a tip on $6.99, where I served you a steak for $89. And so it's that concept. Why go for the 8-mile radius when you could shoot for the whole world?
Yeah, I think that's. Don't think. Yeah, that's the direction.
That's it.
That's the way to go.
That waiter thing, I've been saying that for years, but now I could see how it could relate to business.
Yeah.
It's like, it is absolutely amazing what obviously, I'm not saying you got to be Amazon. I'm saying it could be anything. Like you provide online training to anyone in the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I ever move to Australia, I could be like, hey man, I'm hitting up Kyle for workouts and advice and do a Zoom call.
Yeah.
So but you got to market. You got to market.
You got to put in the work, just like anything.
Put the work in. So you still got to market, but you just got to figure out how to do it differently.
Yeah.
TikToks.
Figure it out.
You're doing TikToks and Instagrams.
All that stuff.
Wow.
It's where the younger guys help, man.
I'll tell you what. My kid's in college. And I say to him, like, you got double major, marketing and operations. I'm like, do you take any online? Is there a class on like online, like marketing? He's like, yeah, it's like one. I'm like, really? Like to me, that's
crazy. Still living in the dark ages, a lot of the colleges, man.
And 4 years, $200,000 later, I'm like, when you're done there, let's take an online marketing course somewhere. Yeah. It's like, seriously? They they have it. It's I heard it's pretty good. It's 3 credits. I'm like, I don't know. That should be a year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that should be a year in business school, So, especially if you're a marketing major. Geez. I mean, that's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And that the tricky thing is, even with that, right? Like if a college professor was going to teach that and they don't have the following, how do you take anything they say seriously?
Well, that's always the knock on college professors. I mean, nothing against college professors. My mom taught at NYU, and college professors are great. They're very smart people, but they don't always have the practical experience.
Yeah.
The school of hard knocks. Even my profession, like the college professors are like, these kids come in and it's like the stuff they're taught and the stuff that they're filling their head with. We're like, that's just not reality. So I should probably not go there. But to your point, you're right. It's like if you're gonna teach me, if you're gonna be my trainer at the gym, you better be like ripped.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you better be slim at least. If you're gonna teach me how to do online marketing, I would hope you'd have a couple thousand followers.
That's it. I just had literally on the way here, a guy's messaging me. He messaged me over the weekend. I think he's got like less than 200 followers or whatever. He goes, "Oh, I reached out because I want to see, we help people scale their followings, and we do." I get a message back when I get home, say, "Not to be a dick, but why don't you have a lot of people then, if what you're doing works?" Just, it's like.
So here's the thing, though. I mean, not just to touch on this, and it's like, this is where getting started is so hard, right? Everyone starts with nothing.
True.
So he could be a genius in how to get followers in his mind. Maybe he does know.
But then why doesn't he have?
Well, because he's emailing people to get up. Like
but wouldn't you do it for yourself first? Like, how am I going to teach you faster if I haven't done it?
Right. But that's what's so hard about building a business, right? It's the initial start.
It is, yeah.
You get momentum. To answer your original question was, is it getting easier? It does get easier.
Yeah.
It does. It gets easier. The longer you're at it, and the more you grow, businesses get easier the bigger they get. Yeah. I know I've said this for years. I've tried to convince my wife that that's the case, and she finally believes me now because it does get easier. You have more people, you have more reach, you have more resources.
Social proof, too, is a big one.
Social proof. So that guy I feel bad for that guy. Like, he's trying to build something, but he's got nothing.
He's got nothing.
It's tough to build something from nothing.
Yeah.
But.
Well, even the guys that reached out to me, the brothers, owner and Ocon, he pitched this idea to me back in May. It's coming up on a year. And, but his thing, what we talked about is, okay, let's do it. And then if you start building something, then we'll figure out the business aspect. But it was no lose for either of us. He liked the content I was doing. He wanted to do the social media piece.
Yeah.
Now they've got I think they have 8 really solid clients. So they're at capacity already.
Right. So now they run into a problem.
Now they're trying to, they just hired one of Evan's buddies. So, they're running into that issue now.
Yeah, right.
How do they scale it?
Scale it out. Figure it out. Yeah, so I mean, but to your point, and I've said this to my kids, too. I'm like, if you need to take a job for free,
do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
In some cases, because it's not easy to get started, So sometimes you just do something to learn about it, or to get some experience, or to get some, to do I saw these guys do great work.
They do great work, yeah.
I saw some of those posts, and I was like, wow, this is good. What's going on? I didn't even know you had, and then you told me, I brought these guys in, and they're helping me with them. Like, it's noticeable.
Yeah.
That crap you were producing before was terrible. No,
but you saw it, though,
I
right?
noticed it.
Yeah.
Big time difference. The lighting.
The
way they chopped it up.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And the words and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, what just happened here?
Know how to do or have any desire to learn how to do myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny because they, just like when you said, hey, I'm seeing this guy everywhere. That was owner, he's the older one. I'd known him for a long time. I hadn't seen him in a long time. But he was starting to watch all my videos. And he said, you have all the right content. You just need,
how to present it.
And put it on the right platforms.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So it's like, perfect.
They need to start producing content.
We just talked about that Wednesday. They're gonna,
because that's what they know how to do.
They know how to do it. And the owner brought that up. He goes, we got to start doing it now. So I said, yeah, why not?
Yeah. Build a page on how to build a page.
That's it. Behind the scenes, I said, you guys can, get on the podcast. You can interview people, and you could, all that type of stuff. Simple, man.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. I love it. I love watching you do it. And so it's interesting. Like, you got this brick and mortar here, and you got your online thing.
Yeah.
And so you kind of got the best of both worlds here, because you have the people, the family.
Yeah.
You got some proof that you have, you could build something like this,
Yeah.
and then you kind of like branch it out. It's kind of like this is the heartbeat,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's what like the lab almost. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you do need that though. Like you said, the credibility.
Yeah.
The proof.
Yeah. I think there's something to that.
There
Yeah.
is, you know?
We actually have a track record and actually can transform people, help people transform their lives.
Yeah. There always needs to be that original concept, you know, that
Yeah.
everything's based off of. Especially in yours, like, you know, the workout programs and the fasting and like to have, like you said, like that heartbeat. It all started here. Every place has it. We all started here. Like Chick-fil-A, they'll still like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Like you still see the KFC on that dirt road. You know what I mean? Like that's the, yeah. Every place needs that. I think, you know.
Yeah, the roots.
You know what I'm talking about, right? The
Yeah.
KFC with the dirt road. Like we've always seen that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's this place.
It's good stuff.
It's good stuff, man.
So the next time we're at the hour mark now, but the next time I'm gonna put Steve under the pressure. He's gonna have a YouTube channel that you're gonna be able to subscribe to, a personal one,
All right.
and a personal Instagram.
You know what? You inspired me today because we were talking before we jumped on, and like I said, I got 3 boys, and then I know one of them is really interested in this stuff, and so I could use some help with some of that stuff, like just how to navigate Instagram and TikTok, and then maybe I could pump out some content. Maybe he could learn some of the video stuff. So this summer, I'm in. So the answer to your question is I'm in, and I'm going to get him to help me, and he's in.
Yeah.
So we just got to take the first step, right? That's the
it.
toughest part.
That's it.
So it's good stuff, man. Next
Good,
time we
man.
talk, we'll talk about that. I'll have a million questions.
Oh yeah, that'll be good.
Good stuff.
That'll be good. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. You can follow me on Instagram at the Panda Man Official, and we'll catch you all next time. And don't forget to leave a review and share the episode.